Ever wondered if your sudden urge to become a llama farmer is a sign of a midlife crisis or a career revelation? Some folks hit a certain age and decide they're swapping board meetings for bales of hay. It's quirky, sure, but maybe you're not having a midlife crisis. Perhaps you're having a career revelation. The corporate jungle might not be for everyone, and that's okay. So if you've been eyeing that llama farmer job ad, you might be experiencing a midlife career change, or just a sudden love for llamas. Let's walk down the memory lane of our friend here, Joe, who swapped his legal briefs for llama feeds. Joe, a lawyer by profession and a city dweller by choice, had always lived life by the book. His days were filled with courtrooms and contracts, his nights with case files and the constant ticking of a wall clock. But as the years rolled on, his heart began to yearn for something different, something fluffier. Enter the llama, a creature as quirky as it is majestic. It was during a family trip to a petting zoo that Joe had his first close encounter with a llama. The llama, who we'll call Larry, had a certain je ne sais quoi that Joe found irresistible. Perhaps it was Larry's nonchalant chewing, or maybe it was the way his woolly coat fluttered in the wind. But whatever it was, Joe was smitten. The seed of a new dream was sown that day. Back home, Joe found himself daydreaming about llamas more often than not. He'd be in the middle of drafting a legal document, and he'd catch himself doodling llamas in the margins. He'd be in a meeting, and he'd find himself wondering what Larry was up to. One day, Joe took a leap of faith and decided to quit his job. He traded the skyscrapers for the countryside, the honking of cars for the humming of llamas. It was a drastic change, to say the least. He had to learn everything from scratch, from feeding llamas to shearing them. The first few days were a comedy of errors, with Joe often mistaking a llama's spit for a friendly kiss. But with time, he got the hang of it. Sure, there were struggles. There were days when Joe missed the comfort of his office chair, the predictability of his old life. There were days when he was knee-deep in llama dung, questioning his sanity. But when he looked into the eyes of his llamas, when he saw them frolic in the fields, he knew he had made the right choice. So Joe traded in his suit and tie for a pair of overalls and a pitchfork, proving that it's never too late to follow your llama dreams. But let's not kid ourselves, midlife career changes, much like llama farming, aren't always as fluffy as they seem. Picture Joe, who once wore crisp suits and ties, now donning overalls, knee-deep in hay, and wrestling with llamas before breakfast. The change was far from simple. At first, Joe's biggest challenge was adapting to his new environment. The corporate jungle was replaced by an actual jungle of sorts, filled with quirky, spitting creatures. The learning curve was steep, like trying to ride a unicycle up a hill. But Joe, ever the tenacious soul, managed to endure, proving that resilience and adaptability are key in any career change. Then, there was the skepticism from family and friends. "Joe, have you lost your marbles?" they'd ask, eyebrows raised. But Joe shrugged off their doubts, armed with a newfound passion for his woolly companions. He showed us that sometimes the loudest critics live in our own backyard. But as long as we believe in our decisions, their voices fade into the background. Despite the hurdles, Joe found a sense of fulfillment he never experienced in the courtroom. His mornings were filled with laughter and a sense of purpose, his evenings with a sense of accomplishment. His story serves as a reminder that sometimes the rewards of a midlife career change outweigh the challenges. Remember, the grass may seem greener on the other side, but sometimes it's just more llama-filled. And for Joe, that's exactly what made it worth it. So you've got the llama fever too, huh? Well, let's face it. There's something rather appealing about trading in the corporate hustle-bustle for a pair of wellies and a herd of fluffy, long-necked creatures. It's okay to feel a little eccentric. After all, who wouldn't want to spend their days in the tranquil countryside tending to these adorable creatures? And let's not forget about the endless supply of llama wool sweaters. But whether it's llama farming or underwater basket weaving, it's important to embrace this new chapter. Yes, it might seem a little out there, and sure, your neighbors might start to question your sanity, but remember, this is about you. It's about finding joy and satisfaction in what you do every day, even if it means trading in your briefcase for a pitchfork. And who knows, maybe there's a llama farmer in all of us just waiting to break free, or maybe not. But hey, a midlife crisis can sure make things interesting.